defender of donuts. Free meals are faster than none. She'll make it all good in your neighborhood. She'll make sure we have loads of fun. Who will help Lily? Who will catch Billy? It's Trixie the Tricycle Trooper.
Hi Flosstube, my name's Jody and I'm Trixie Tricycle, both here on YouTube and also on Instagram. This is a channel about cross stitch and crafts and sometimes movies and occasionally a safety tip. So for everybody who is returning, hello, thank you for coming back and for visiting, and we have quite a few new subscribers, so hello, welcome. I think I know why we had a bump, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So it's been a month since I posted my last video, and although I had every intention of posting a second video in November, I am apparently a lying liar who lies. So schedule wise it was a little difficult. So I'm just going to be better about not committing. Just raise my success level by lowering expectations, because, you know, we do what we can. It's a hobby. This is for fun, right? This is just for fun. But it's really good to see you. I missed visiting, and as you can see, we're neck deep in the holidays. So I thought this would be kind of fun just to throw some, you know, some of the appropriate decor in the background. And I wanted to start out by just kind of doing an overview. This is going to be long today. So you might need to break it into a couple pieces, but I have a lot to show you. And so just I'm going to say right at the beginning, I'm going to save haul. I'm going to show kind of a set of charts. And you can push that off to the end. You can watch it in a separate video. I'm going to try and upload everything at the same time. But we're going to talk about some of my predilection. Is that a good word? My, you know, let's look. We're gonna pull a just keep stitch and move here, Stephanie. I'm just gonna look it up. Predilection. Is that the right word? For all of you new people, words. It's a thing I like. Yeah, predilection. A preference or special liking for something, a bias in favor of something. So yes, my predilection for old vintage things that were made a long time ago that still are around and that are kind of interesting. So in keeping with the holiday theme, last year during kind of when everything was shut down, and this is not something that I've had done in the past, but there are a couple of things that I started looking at that I decided that I wanted to collect. And not like in a huge way, but just if I saw them, and a lot of them were on eBay, I would pick them up. So one of the things, and then reading the stories about the businesses that that produced these things and how they got started and just some of the history of it, it's super interesting. So one of those businesses is a company called Houze, H-O-U-Z-E Glass. And they were based in Point Marion, Pennsylvania. My dog is rolling around. She all of a sudden got all excited, and so now she's rolling on her back and making noises in case you hear dog noises. But Houze Glass was interesting because they were some of the first manufacturers of glass who created like convex or concave shaped glass, and they would just take a cast iron mold and they would melt the glass over the top of it, and so it created sort of a bend to it. And so the glass that they made were not only used for automotive but also like for sight glasses for fuel filters. That was one of them. They used it for a curved windshield or windscreen in the back windows on some cars. And for a long time, they were one of the only sources of that curved glass. So speedometers, clock faces, all kinds of different things that had a curve to them. Things that we wouldn't even think about now, but at the time it was pretty remarkable. In the 50s, when they were restoring the windows in the White House, Howes was the only company that could generate the quality that would match the original windows that had been put into the White House. And so and I read an article about that, and I think the article was written in 2011. I couldn't find anything to sort of prove or disprove this, but at the time, in 2011, when the article was written, those windows still were in the White House, which is kind of cool. So anyway, Howes glass. This is an example. And so you can see it's got like a curve to it. And most of the Howes glass that you see will have that distinct shape where the corners kind of round over. It's about that width. But they've got some of those really cool old vintagey text and script. What they got really famous for was creating greeting cards, glass greeting cards. And so they would come in a little flat box, and they had them for birthdays and anniversaries and for retirements, and they generated these little glass pieces for like country clubs, or for a souvenir for a tourist destination. So they were this ubiquitous thing that were everywhere. But anyway, so that's one that I have that I just pulled out to put up on our mantle upstairs, and I thought you guys might want to see it. This is another one, and this reminds me, there is a chart. I think it's the Fat Quarter Shop has a chart that's that sort of that same Santa, and this one has like little. It's hard to see, but this is I guess it's not glittery, but it's just kind of like a little cute spatter paint. He looks so happy. But the same thing, where it's got that curved edge, rounded over corners. Some of the other ones that I have are more, not necessarily specific to a holiday, but I really like the ones that look like they belong in some Las Vegas bar. Like these. This one's kind of hard to see, but it's got the four suits, like a deck of cards. And I actually have 8 of these, and they're tiny. I mean, this is like maybe, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Here's another one. And they were used for candy dishes, or, I mean, you could use them for whatever, but this is a really common color that one of the family members, one of the Howes, I think it was the nephew of the main guy that organized it, was a chemist, and he was sort of instrumental in coming up with all of the varieties of glass color at the time. So anyway, they finally closed in 2004. I think the company started formally, even though the originators had been working and building different glass manufacturing companies in different places, but that specific Howes glass formally started in 1902, and so it was in business for more than 100 years, and I think it was a pretty big part of that community in terms of jobs. So anyway, if you're from Port Marion, or if you're around there or know more about this, I would love to hear about it, because I just think it's so interesting. But this one I just thought was really cool. So again, these are readily available. They're not very expensive. But if you're a thrifter, if you like to go to, Goodwill, or if you're at a garage sale, or you're someplace where you see a piece of that, again, it's really easy to pick out. So anyway, moving on. So I'm going to go through today. I have a couple of FFOs. We're going to do whips. We're going to do some starts that I did. I'm going to show you, like I said before, some charts. And to begin with, though, we're going to go through stitchy kind just to begin with. We'll go kind of out of order. And the reason is because I wanted to chat about, some of you are probably here, I'm guessing, because Laura of Brenda and the Cereal Starter mentioned on their last video that she was here in town to visit her dad. Her dad lives on Bainbridge Island, and I live just outside of Seattle, just a little south of the city limits. And so she messaged me and Becca and Susan Stanley to see if we would be available to get together for a stitch day while she was here. And I was lucky enough to be able to convince them to come and hang out at my house for the day. So, you know, we spend a lot of time with each other. When you think about it, just as much as, if you're like me, as much as you watch Flosstube, we are in each other's homes all the time. And even though in only some cases, you know, you've got a few Flosstubers that do their videos together, and Becca does a wonderful job of interviewing Flosstubers, and so she gets to have that sort of, you know, ongoing conversation. But for the most part, most of us that have these channels, we're just talking into a camera in an empty room full of stitching. So even though, like, that's why getting comments and that engagement with the community is so much fun. And I think Instagram, I think that that's a good vehicle for there to be good messaging communication. I'm always open to, you know, and some of you know, like, if you've messaged me before, I do try to respond. But beyond that, unless you're going to retreats, or unless you live in an area where there are lots of, you know, local get-togethers or local LNS, which we really are limited here in what we have, which is surprising to me. But so most of that time that we spend with each other is really just through a screen. And it's been kind of like that just in general, obviously, in the world for the last couple of years. But to actually get to spend time with people that you have that connection with is just really, really fun. So I'm not a hugger. If you knew me, you'd know. But I went down and picked up Laura and Becca at the ferry. So we have, if you're not familiar with the Seattle area, Seattle is kind of on the, there's a body of water called the Puget Sound, and there are a number of islands, some of which you can drive into Seattle from because there's, you know, there's a bridge or another way. But Washington State ferries are sort of famous. You know, they're kind of fun to ride on. I remember as a kid we used to go and do that just for, like, you know, a fun family day out. But it dropped them off in downtown Seattle, and so I picked them up, and when, you know, I called and said, okay, I'm a couple blocks away, and, you know, come to this side of the street and I'll pull over. And so I got out of the car just to open my trunk and let them put their stuff in if they wanted to, and I was so excited to see them walking across the street. I opened my door and I got out, and I'm like by my trunk opening the door, and I'm jumping up and down like a kid, like, ee! Which is also not like me. And Laura was like, give me a hug. I was like, oh yeah, hugs. Anyway, it was just really fun. So we got to ride back and hang out, and we had some sandwiches and did some stitching and just chatted and caught up. And Susan came over after they arrived, and they were all nice enough to tolerate my barky dogs, who are pretty harmless, but just decided that they needed to be, I mean, they always do this when they have new people. It's like, oh, alert, alert, alert. And then you get settled in. This is what my dogs do. You get settled in and everyone's sitting and they're fine and they're crashed out and they're asleep. And then somebody gets up to go get a glass of water or to go use the restroom or whatever. And as soon as they come back to the table, the dogs wake up and like, oh, new person. It's the same person. You're fine. Anyway. So they brought me some sweet things. So I wanted to show you that. So first of all, Susan Stanley, which, first of all, washi tape. How cute is that? It's got a little, it's like little joy. You see that? It's like reflective. I love washi tape. Some stickers. Also, kind of like little earth tones. Christmassy things. Like that cute truck. Can you see? There we go. Little gingerbread stickers. Also this little notebook, the bird and little spool, and it's just a little paper. It's like a little paper pad with a cute border on it. How cute! And then a variegated DMC. That's 4521. So thanks, Susan. That was super nice. Becca brought us little hot chocolate spoons with some hot chocolate inside, and if you watch Becca, you know she has a strong love for Rae Dunn. So this is my very first Rae Dunn piece. I have no other Rae Dunn in my house, but she brought us all a mug. Isn't that cute? Thanks, Becca. It's really nice. By the way, Becca is like the nicest person. She's really nice. And she's really smart. She's awesome. So for everybody who, I mean, you guys already know. Everybody, if you're watching me, you're watching her. So she's fantastic. Laura brought us these adorable little ornaments, which I would normally have hanging up behind me, but I wanted to show it to you. Look at how cute. And how Laura is that? So, so cute. And then she brought me a copy of Jane Jackson. So thank you. So that was really fun. Of course there was candy involved, which I ate immediately because I had to eat my candy because I like dessert first. In other stitchy kindness, I also wanted to show you, I got a message from Tammy. Now Tammy won, she was the winner of the Lucinda chart. Yeah, New York Press, a couple videos ago. But she sent a message and she said, hey, I want to, send you something. Well, she made this adorable floss drop that has my initial and a bead and this cute button. And it's all tied together with a little tiny cord. Super cute. She is, I'll link her Instagram here. Look at that. It's like a little iridescent button too on one side of it. This is just so cute. So again, I haven't used it because I wanted to show it to you guys. So thanks, Tammy. Alexis, I sent her some floss, just a couple. This is one of those like circular, like the thank you for the, you don't have to thank me, but she made me a grime guard. And how adorable is that? Those are super, super my colors. It's really cute. I love that fabric. And yeah, I sent her a couple of, I think a skein of Garden Gate and some onyx maybe. She was looking for them for her, for one of the projects that she was kitting up. And Garden Gate's kind of hard to find right now. And I think it's because there's a blackbird I mean, I don't know why, but I'm guessing there is a, there's a Blackbird re-release, and the majority of the charts in that, I think the majority of the charts in that book call for Garden Gate. And so I think that is where people are sort of snapping out, because everybody bought the re-release of the book, and it's like, if you want, you know, everybody has to get Garden Gate. So anyway, but she sent it with this cute card and just thanked me, and she's so sweet. And if you haven't watched her most recent Flosstube, go do it, because she has a finish that is so adorable. And I'll show you the chart that it's for a little bit later, but it's for Lindy Stitch's Funky Menagerie, which was the mystery stitch along from last year. She finished it into a pillow. You have to go look at it. It is so cute. She put a picture of it on Instagram too, and it's just super, super cute. Love it. Bobby sent me some of her floss drops, but also sent, so here are her floss drops. She's bobby.stitchy.fun. Look at how cute she is. And I still will at some point do a floss drop. Oh, is that gonna focus? Here we go. Mimi. That one, and then she's got this little, it's a little floating leaf. Very cute. But she sent this beautiful, dropping things. She sent this beautiful watercolor card. It says that a friend of hers is the artist for these cards, which is super pretty. Some cute little stickers. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this fox and these little bunnies actually have stars in the background. It's like the sky with stars. It's hard to see because they're so small, but those are adorable. And then she sent me this piece of beautifulness. And this could be a needle minder. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. But that owl with that gorgeous tail. Oh. And this was I'm looking to see if I can. So I think this is the Instagram. If you look at it, it's at pearl_plam, P-L-A-M. The rest of it is in, I think it's in Russian. It looks like Cyrillic to me, so cannot read it. Anyway, Bobby, thank you so much. Very sweet. And I did send her a message on. And then Miss Ellen sent me some surprises, which is always fun because Ellen is my hero. So she sent me this really cute needle minder from Rebel Stitcher. And you see, it is an avocado. Oh, come on. It's trying to focus on me. It's that sad, angry. Bleeping avocados. And I haven't eaten this yet because I've been waiting to show you guys. Coffee Crisp is a Canadian candy bar. They don't sell them here in the US, at least not to my knowledge. I've looked. Like my favorite candy bar. And the first one, she sent me two. And so the first one arrived the day that Laura and Becca and Susan were here, and so I had to have them taste test. So we split it. I'm eating this one as soon as this video's done. While I'm editing, this is going in my cake hole. And these. Now, there was a conversation that was on a thread about Smarties. Smarties in the US are very different than Smarties in Canada. Smarties here are these little sour, powdery discs. These are chocolate. These are like M&Ms except a bit bigger and a little crunchier. I don't know how to describe it, but they're good. So Ellen, thank you. Everybody, thank you for all of the nice things. No one, you know, don't feel compelled that you have to do that. Even if I send something, if I do a giveaway and I'm sending something out, or if I send something to you as a, you know, as a surprise in the mail or a gift, you don't have to say anything back. Don't feel like you have to do that. I know that there's enough stress and pressure, especially around this time of year, that please don't feel like you need to reciprocate. So, but it is always really, really kind and appreciated when you get something out of the blue. I haven't been to my post office box in at least a week, so if you know, if anything's arrived or you've sent anything and I didn't mention it, it's probably just because I haven't seen it yet. So, okay, so that was the Stitchy Kindness piece. We are going to take a look at some... Oh, by the way, one other thing I wanted to mention. I'm talking about getting together in person and seeing people and how amazing that is and what a great... I'm actually getting to do that again this week. I think I'm meeting up with Becca and Susan Stanley and Colleen from Stitching with the Sisterly, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think we're going to do a little antique shopping. We're going to mask up, and there's a antique mall up in Snohomish, and I've been there a few times. It's really fun. And then figure out a place to stop and stitch, or I'm not sure. The plans are flexible. But also, I don't think I've talked about this yet. I am going to StitchCon. I got in, and I'm in weekend A. And I cannot wait. And I'm also currently slated, you know, obviously circumstances out of our control and going to dictate some of this, but I'm signed up to go to StitchCon, or Stitch North, sorry, which Caroline at Evertoad is hosting, and I cannot wait. That will be really, really fun. So if you're going to either of those, yay! All right, FFOs. Last time I showed you that I had finished this Chubby Bird by Jeannette Douglas. And I personalized it by putting a quote from the movie Aliens. If you want details of that, you can go back and look at the last one. But I put it in this $2 Goodwill frame. The opening is literally like 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. But it came out cute. Anyway, I love that chart. And it says, in case you can't read it, it says they mostly come at night, mostly. So if you've seen the movie Aliens, directed by James Cameron, and you know what that means. The next FFO, and I did show this on Instagram, but the chart is by Uncanny Kari and D's 20 Stitches, and it is the 3 little hexes chart. And again, this is my bad printer, so don't hold it against them. But I stitched the 3 hexes into 1 teacup, and then I made it into this tall-ish tote. And this is a velvet bottom. It's got a boxed, like a squared off bottom edge. But I have seen in a few different applications, but I hadn't made one before, so I looked up a couple of tutorials. One of which I will link. I can't remember, but I will link the one that I watched that made some sense. Most of them had a closure that, you know, either a zip closure or I guess they were all zipper closures. So I just left mine open and lined it with this green fabric. This was, the edge was just folded over. This is the back fabric. And that is I think it's the Flea Market Fresh by Kathy Holden. How do you say her name? Is it Kathy? It's C-A-T-H-E. And then these are little mother of pearl beads, I guess, discs that I have the jewelry boxes of my grandmother's costume jewelry. They're all intact. There are some pieces that were broken, that were kind of in a separate little box that were just kind of all jumbled together. And so I'm gonna try and use those in some of my projects. And so that's what I did. These are just little jump rings, and I just attached them. The mother of pearl discs had a hole on either side, and I just connected those. And then these buttons, someone asked how they were connected, and so these are buttons that I got from one of the collections of vintage sewing notions from one of the sewing machine tables that I purchased over the last year. Maybe half dozen, I don't know, something. And then these were from just another button company, from their, I think it was from their Halloween collection. I'm in their quarterly button subscription club. So I just got the second one, which was a holiday. Super cute. But yeah, these little lime green buttons just fit. And so essentially I just stitched on either side through to hold this cuff in place. And then I attached with a tiny little safety pin around that button that's stitched in there, and then connected that. It's really jank. It's not super complicated, but it came out cute. So that brings me to, and by the way, how adorable are those? I didn't change this one. This is the original with the teacup in the middle. I added this one. Now he's stitched just as he was on the other, I think he was on the, was he on the planchette? Or they were on the planchette? She, he, they, Hex. Yeah, Hex, this Hex was on the planchette, and this Hex was on the book, and I did have to shorten the back end of that Hex. And this is on a piece of Be Stitch Me fabric in the color Peony, and again that's just a velvet bottom, and this is just a Moda solids piece. And I just kind of, the overall size, the top, from the top to the bottom, is about it's about 14, 8 by 14. I think that was before it was folded over, so this is probably 8 by maybe a foot. So what am I going to do with it? I want to talk about pressing cross stitch, ironing cross stitch. Teresa Jeannette, Kitten Stitcher, had a conversation about this in one of her videos where she talked about that she doesn't like to press her cross stitch too much because it tends to flatten the stitches, and especially what I've noticed, I did a little small couple things with that use silk floss, and if you press it, it loses its luster. DMC is a little more resilient, but certain silk floss tends to get real matte, flattened, and it just doesn't look nice. I like to stitch on a scroll frame. I don't do well stitching in hand. I've tried. If it's a smaller piece, I might take it off, fold it, and put it into a project bag. But for larger pieces, you may be working on them for, at least for me, months at a time. And so I I realize that you can't have a scroll frame for every large cross stitch piece that you have, because you may end up having to swap it out. You may want to work on something different. And so when you take off a project to put it aside for a while and start working on something else, you need some place to put it. And a project bag in some cases is okay, but then you have to fold your project. Charlie's doing this thing. The dog bed is canvas, but there's a blanket on it so he can burrow in there and get all comfy, but he's scratching. They do that thing. I'm not sure what that is. It's like, you know, are you, what are you digging? He's so cute. He's all curled up. So when you take that larger piece off, what do you do with it? I'm open to suggestions, but this is what I've started to do. And so far it's kind of working, medium working. This is a necktie hanger. These are clothespins. These pieces are rolled up and they are just clipped on so that I can keep them stored in a, just rolled up in a cylinder. And so it doesn't have that hard line. And that seems to save some space. Maybe just hang it up in your closet or hang it up wherever. It also kind of protects it a little bit. I don't have a lot of whips or a lot of, you know, really large whips, and so this seems to work so far. I'm just kind of experimenting a little bit. But with this bag, you know, so like this piece, this is I haven't done anything on this since the last time you guys have seen it, but this is Louise Lallier, right? Reflet de soie. And oops, that's the back. So it's gonna be, if you look, there's a piece of sulky that's around the edge of it that I've stitched, and so where that ends is about where the project is gonna end. And the same thing for the width. So this is every bit, it's gonna be that big. It's huge. So rolling it up is kind of a, especially because this one I am stitching this in silk. I thought about, you know, roll it on a dowel or like a piece of wood, or roll it onto a long, I have a thick, like a cardboard roll that my vinyl for project bags came off of. I think I had purchased a few yards at Joann, and it was at the end of that particular roll, and so they just said, hey, do you want the roll with it? And I said yes. That could be then cut down into smaller pieces, but I feel like, I don't know how long you would end up needing to store it on a piece like that, and perhaps you'd need to wrap it with some kind of acid-free tissue paper so your fabric wouldn't be in direct contact with a big, you know, piece of cardboard. I don't know. I haven't been doing this long enough to know if that's really a thing, but this one's a little too long. But this might be, let's do this. Let's do something different. But what I might do is use this as a way to do some cute hanging storage for some of these pieces of linen, because it's long enough, it's tall enough to be able to do that. And then I can have it out, I can have it displayed, and it's an easy way to just quickly access some of those fabric rolls. So that's one thought. Anyway, this is a really cute chart. Dee and Kari just released Krampus charts for Christmas, or for Krampus. It's really, really cute. So check out. Kari does the artwork. Dee charts it for cross stitch, and Dee also has a fantastic Flosstube channel. which I strongly encourage you to go and watch. All right. So those are my 2 FFOs. So I thought now we can talk about whips. Here's one I haven't shown for a little while. This is Modern Folk Embroidery. This is from his Dark Crosses collection. This is Mr. Bones in the Garden. And I am stitching this on a piece of 40 count Forest Floor by Seraphim. And I'm stitching it with Ggr. It's 1 strand over 2 threads. Stitching with light colored or white floss is, whew, man. If you're picky about the way your stitches look, don't try that. But this is really cute. So I just put a little bit more in there, and I really should just knock it out, but I've been doing other things. I've been stitching other stuff. So I mean, that's where that one's at. And I think what I am going to do is add a couple of little pops of color on some of the ends of those vines with some of that Belding Corticelli silk that I have, because I think that would be cute. Next, this chart is by Hedgerow Stitching, and this is Elisabeth Addlesee. And stitching this, I'm pretty behind because everyone else seems to be done with it, but this was the stitch along for Betsy Klager, and the hashtag was Stupid Tumor Cell, and she's talked about it, and I've talked about it in previous videos, so you're probably familiar with it. I won't go into it, but that is where I am. So almost done, and I am doing that with the called for floss. I'm using whatever over dyed flosses I had that were called for on the chart, and then some DMC. In fact, let's see. If you could see how much stuff I have right in front of me and right around here, it's like, what? It is a bit precarious. So those are the called for colors. They're very pretty. Next, this, and each of these project bags I've made, just FYI, I did a tutorial on this size project bag, which is a bit larger, and it has a loop that you can hang your floss on, and it has a pocket. This is Joan Sands 1839 by Modern Folk Embroidery. We're doing this as a group stitch along, and the plan is to finish it on, to put in the last stitches and stitch the date on New Year's Eve, because that's what Hogmanay is. It's a New Year's Eve sampler. So I had been, the last couple of videos I was like, oh, I need to get going on this one. So I am pretty happy with progress that I have at this point. I just have those last couple of, or 3 rows of lettering to finish, and then the date, which will go right above Joan's name. So yeah, this is what I spent most of my time this last month really stitching, and I love it. These are all the called for floss. This is on a piece of 37 count Wayfarer's Cloak, and the white house, or the kind of grayish house, is very, very light. Some people have switched it up and changed color to make it darker based on their fabric. I sort of like that it turned into more of a ghost stitch look. And actually, and I said this before too, in person you can see this a lot better. It tends to blow out a little bit on camera. But I finished the eyelet stitch row. The border's done. If you do stitch this, pay attention to the border. It's not, you gotta count. You gotta look at it because each of those carnations, some of them are similar, some of them are the same, but a lot of them are not. And yeah, so anyway, so I'll work on that a little bit more, and then how many days do we have? 23 weeks or so? Which is a frightening thought. Okay, so Black Sampler November, you saw this one last time. Black Sampler November was a hashtag that Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery started, and you could stitch any sampler or sampler-like project just using a black or charcoal type floss. And I decided to start in Grimshaw, which is by the Scarlet letter. And I love it. I saw this on, oh, and again, you know, I always forget to show you the Joan Sands colors, all DMC, and I am stitching that one strand over 2 threads. And this was a gift from Gwyneth, who is Curling Stones and Cross Stitches. She made us these gorgeous floss bling triangular floss drop charms. They're so pretty. The first time I saw Anne Grimshaw stitch was on Kitten Stitcher's channel. So she sells floss drops, and this is pre the great floss drop trade, but she had these little cards that you could purchase, and you could stamp them yourselves. You could stamp out the holes yourselves, and they're called Holy Molies. And I think she's had a couple of different runs of those in different, and they're close-ups of different charts that she sells. And one of them is in Grimshaw. And so I just took a 1-inch punch and just punched out part of that Holy Moly card and made a floss drop for it. Anyway, I'm stitching it with Leo and Roxy chalkboard, which is a really nice variegated light charcoal black. It's not light, it's just a more charcoal, a softer black, I guess, with a little bit of variegation in it. It's beautiful. And here is where I am. So, talk about paying attention. This is one that you really have to, I love it because I can stitch on this one if I'm listening to someone, you know, listening to a Flosstube or listening to a podcast or audiobook. It's not the kind I would choose to stitch around other people because you need to count and pay attention. But I love the irregularity of those motifs. I love how, I guess wabi-sabi would be the right term for it. I love it though. I think it's just beautiful. And I know a lot of people are stitching this one for Black Sampler November, and I love watching all of these hooks. This is on 40 count. It's mushroom. It's a Zweigart fabric, and it's mushroom light mocha. This can be called either or, and different vendors will call it different things, or they'll just call it both. It's a nice stiff fabric to stitch on, and I'm just really enjoying it. So that's it. So those are the whips. That's what I worked on for whips. The next grouping are going to be all of these starts, and I had 4 starts since the last time. A couple birthdays, one other Black Sampler November piece. This is by there she is. So Christina from Whilst Iris Naps released this, Black Sampler 2021. It's a really cute, long, pretty simple. I happen to have the called for, so it's not strictly black floss. but the overall effect that it gives when it's completed, she's kind of a wizard with colors, but these are the called for. And this, I'm stitching it on a piece of Weeks Dye Works beige. This is the non-Zweigart blend. But I had a piece of this left over from Mary Griffiths, which I'm stitching for Ellen Reed's birthday, and so that's what I used, and it's coming out really pretty. So just baby start. I didn't do a ton on it, but I thought that was pretty. Starting to get precarious here, stacking things up in weird spots. Abby Bella Stitch, she had a birthday, and so her birthday start along was any of the Barrack ladies charts. So Hello from Liz Matthews, Carriage House Samplings, and Kathy Barrack. So I chose this, Pennsylvania Pinwheel by Carriage House. When I posted this photo on Instagram, a lot of people were like, where'd you get that? That's so cool. And even Kathy Barrack, when people comment on your Instagram page, it's always like, well, Kathy Barrack always right. She's like, I forgot about that chart. It's really pretty and it's really cool, just like neat, primitive. So I decided to stitch this on a piece of primitive hair fabric. This is 30 count Old Salem. It's kind of got that good grungy look to it, and I'm using 2 strands over 2 threads, and I chose my own colors. I think that called for well, NPS, needlepoint silk, yeah, or DMC, but I went ahead and chose just some colors that I had in my stash. So these are Classic Colorworks, and it's Yield Gold and Black Coffee, and then Color and Cotton is in the color Ruby. Ruby is beautiful. I actually went on the Color and Cotton website to try and get more, and they are out. Sad times. But I think I should, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have enough. So that's fun. I thought that was it's really fun to stitch. This is actually the one that I worked on when we had our stitchy day here. So not only does it remind me of Abby, it reminds me of having a fun stitch day with people at my house. Dee, I mentioned before that did the 3 little hexes chart. Dee had a birthday, and they asked that the hashtag they made it was Flip Dee the Bird, Sal. So any chart with a bird. And I decided to stitch Hester Van Dorn, which is also a Carriage House Samplings chart. And it kind of fits with the whole Black Sampler November. Dee's birthday is just a couple days after Betsy Klager's. And there is my start. This is on a piece of 32 count Black Pearl. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got a little bit of opalescence to it. This fabric is by Jody from Steel City Stitchers. Doing this 2/2, and I'm using Vampish by Leo and Roxy, which has just the tiniest bit of purple to it. It's actually showing more purple on camera today. It's not quite that purple. And Lucille. And this may get the so-called angsty bird treatment. I have an idea of what I want it to say. So I'm going to modify the text a little bit, because of course I am. I do that. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, Ellen Reed stitched Mary Barton's work by Mojo Stitches. It's a little bird, beautiful colors, and stitched The World Is on Fire underneath it, and called it her angsty bird wall. And I think she's going to be adding to it. And so, you know, me not having any original ideas of my own, I decided that I would just jump on that bandwagon, and that's where Chubby Bird with the aliens quote came from. So, once again, credit where credit's due. Ellen is, you know, much more creative than I am. Not trying to take anything for myself here. Well, last start was Barbara Anna. I had mentioned in one of my really early videos that I stitched a couple of her little Santas riding on things because they're stinking cute. This one I finished into a little pillow. Well, let's get that schmutz off there. Just some wool stuffed with fiberfill. These are the called for flosses, and this is on a piece of natural, it's 32 count natural colored linen. I also stitched this one, same deal, 32 count. This is on Sea Lily. I think it's a witch hilt fabric. You can easily found on 123 Stitch. And all the called for DMC on this as well, with that cute bunny. I love that bunny. So I wanted to make one that will match, and it is this Through the Woods by Barbara Anna Designs. And I just saw Kathleen, Stitchuation Normal. She did this for ornament exchange, swap, right? Christmas present thing. I think Elisabeth Ann Can Stitch hosted an ornament swap. So I'm changing the colors, of course, because I want it to match these Santas with that gold, really cool gold brownish. So that's what I have so far. So there's Santa's leg. And I am also gonna make that deer white because I started watching the new episodes of Dexter. I was kind of, the jury was out whether or not I was going to watch it, because I really felt like the whole Dexter, when it first came out, when that first series came out, it was like, after a while, it was like, oh, okay, we get it. Got it. And then the end was a little like, really? I didn't know if I was going to watch the, you know, the revamp or the like 10 years later. Anyway, there's new episodes. They're on Showtime. If you've watched it, you'll know why that deer is white. Anyway, these are the colors that I picked out. And I will finish it with some kind of, I'll do the same thing, make another pillow and either finish it with like a kind of a seafoam or blue, or this orange maybe, just a solid. But okay. that brings me to kind of a series of charts. I've done this before where I pulled a bunch of charts that I own that had crows and showed sort of a crow medley. So I thought what I would do is I would do kind of the same thing, except for this time with deer. Because there were some really, really cool charts that have deer. And I'm just going to do charts that I own. There's enough of those to keep us occupied for a little while. It's funny the things that you figure out that you tend to get sucked into or drawn toward. In no particular order. I'm just going to go as they're in this. Oh, please. We might leave that in. Because shit happens. Amazingly, nothing is broken. We'll probably have to do a little jump scare alert to make it. We're fine. We're all fine here. However, we'll go ahead and talk about what we're originally going to show you. It's this giant box of deer stuff that created our problem. Okay, so in no particular order. This is from Old Colonial. It's a little tiny kit. I'm not sure if you can see what it is, but it's a tiny little ornament. It's got everything in it. And it just has it's called Christmas Reindeer. Oh my gosh. It's all coming apart now. Anyway, it's really cute. And it came in this cute tin. And it's got all of the little bits and the pattern, the tiny little piece of fabric, the flosses. It even comes with a needle and a tiny little reindeer ornament. That would be a cute gift. All right. Pull it together. I'll insert a picture, but I've actually completed this chart. This is by Jacob. This is called Underneath the Christmas Tree, and it's just a really cool Nordic pattern. I made this into a pillow for a Christmas gift last year, and I will insert a photo of that here so that you can see it. And I backed it with some little pieces of wool, and it is a good chart. I do recommend. Of course, there's Prairie Schooler, Christmas miniatures. There is a deer right there. These are super cute, and they are each 25 stitches by 25 stitches, so super quick. This one, again, don't mind my printer. This is a Lindy Stitches chart. This is one of her new Christmas releases. It's called Into All a Good Night. And if you look, these reindeer up here are so funny. They are so cute. It's kind of hard to see, but they're side angle, but they're all facing. It's like a Wes Anderson shot because they're all just very flat aspect, like, you know. She is remarkable in the way that she is able to capture personalities of animals. It's great. Just, she did that collaboration where they did the, yeah, I'm going to put it down here. But it was all the, like, there was a pirate and there was a parrot, and then it was all the sea creatures. I own it. My sister has it right now. Anyway, there's a hammerhead shark. It's the funniest. Maybe I'll put a picture of that here. All right. Oh, and yeah, I'll talk about that in haul, but I just signed up for her Bird Crush Club, which starts next year, and every month you get a bird chart. Pineberry Lane. This is where, you know, instead of Santa riding on something or getting dragged by reindeer, reindeer's just in the sleigh. So why not? He's riding in that sleigh like a dog. You ever had dogs that just think they're people? They just sit in the front seat and they're like, I'm just riding. Here I am. And you get the dogs that are like super head hanging out the window as much as they can, and with the drool, and then you have the dogs that just literally sit in the front seat like, yeah, no, I'm also human and I would like some coffee, or whatever it is that comes out of that coffee window when you decide to get your coffee. Puppuccino, please. Anyway, that is a super cute one. Pineberry Lane. Speaking of Lindy's stitches, I think this gets honorable mention, the jackalope. Because, yeah, it's an antelope and a rabbit, but it has antlers, and it's carrying some stuff. So I had to include that one. Miss Judy, JBW Designs, her adorable Nordic reindeer chart. Again, this one is only 84 by 102. Well, I guess a little bit bigger than. But these are really fun to stitch on small count fabric, you know, 40 count. I love that finish too. Look at that. Love you, Judy. Makes amazing charts. I showed a collection too. At the time I didn't have as many as I have now, but some Little by Little. Dawn Bradford, who is related to Cynthia Bradford. Cynthia Bradford is Little by Little, and Dawn Bradford is Sheepish Designs. And this one is called Kind and True, and look at that cute deer right there. This I got from Michelle Bendy Stitchy on one of her D-Stash, so it's the whole kit. It's very cute. Speaking of Sheepish Designs, Kitten Stitcher had finally, not finally, I mean, just it came available. But this is a Sheepish design. There were 3 in this series, and they were Alpha Sheep, Alpha Menagerie, and Alpha Bird. And so the three of them together, let's see if I can do this without completely. So there's Alpha Bird, Alpha Menagerie. You see it starts with A, and then that one has the K, and then I didn't have for the longest time Alpha Sheet, which was the last part. People stitch this in a long, kind of a long and tall sampler, but now I've got all three of them, so they are really, really cute. But Alpha Menagerie has a deer, which is why I'm showing it to you. But I was very excited to see that she had it on her site, because I bought the first two on her site, and it may have been even from the, actually I'm not going to speak, she's got a few different sections on her website. Kitten Stitcher has amazing things, and I'll talk about her in haul in just a second, but she has a section on there called the treasure, I think it's called the treasure chest, and there are also there is a section for stash for cats and stash for dogs, and people can donate, like send things to her, or she will donate things into this particular section. When you purchase things out of that specific category on her site, the proceeds go toward her animal rescue organizations of choice. So that's kind of cool. So I'm not sure if it came out of one of those or if it was just in the regular Sheepish Designs charts underneath designers that she had listed. But all I know is that I got the first two Alpha Birds and Alpha Menagerie from her site, and then I got the third one because it was available. Kathy Barrick, Deer Santa. This one has all the deer. How cute. And this is actually what made me think of pulling some of these charts, because this one just came yesterday. And this is also by Kathy Barrick, and it's called Deer Heart. And I love this so much. Look at how gorgeous those flowers are. And yeah, it's a lot of solid stitching, and it's not, you know, it's 152 by 143, but it's so, so pretty. I love that deer. I love those flowers, I love the leaves, I love everything about it. The colors, it's gorgeous. Super pretty. This one's by Needlework Press. This is called Ellen Harrison, 1889. This is a really interesting sampler. That is the reproduction model stitch. And this is the original. That's the antique. I love it. And the color selection is really neat too. It's very primary colors. It's very blue, red, yellow, which is neat. It's different. You don't usually see that. What you have seen before, a lot of people, in fact, I think Carol Saltbox Stitcher has this right behind her on her wall, and Nikki Noodles stitching this one. I know a lot of people have stitched this, and this is Ggr Red Deer Sampler. This is one of the first big, I think this is the first Ggr chart that I ever bought. And this is before I had any idea of how long things took to stitch. And one of the reasons why I had waited for so long to start this is because the Gentle Arts Black Raspberry Jam, I couldn't get that forever, and I think I finally have it now. So, you know, and now I'm to the point where doing a color conversion isn't that big of a deal, and I can be happy using something else. But as a new stitcher, you just look at it and you're like, well, I have to use what they say, right? But it is pretty. Queenstown Sampler Designs. This is Hannah Greenwood, 1847. And this is the one that has that really interesting deer with, if you look at it closely, it's kind of hard to make out, but it's almost like a town. This looks like, if I had to, it's got something on it, and it looks like a little tiny miniature, either there's flowers or there's some kind of a design or a building, or it's really, really hard to see what's in the deer, like right there. But the whole chart is so cool, and I love the holly with those berries, and this is zebra, and this is a neat, neat chart. So Queenstown Sampler Designs, Hannah Greenwood, 1847. Also, Queenstown Sampler Designs, Hester Harmer, 1843. Look at those teeny tiny deer. See? Beep, beep. They're not rabbits. They are deer. They have big old antlers. I also love the color palette of this. It's just very muted greens, mustard yellow, and the border is very cool. And that flower arrangement is really neat. Love that one. This is from 2018. This is the Four Seasons Primitive Quaker Year. This is Modern Folk Embroidery, the Mystery Cell from 2018. And of course, in the winter section, there is a deer. I really want to stitch this. And I think it would be neat to figure out a way to do it in kind of gradient colors so that it migrated from, you know, a wintry scene into spring, into summer, and then autumn, and just kind of, I'm not sure I'm creative enough to figure that out though. I may just end up doing it as a monochromatic. It'd be cool in black too. It'd be great for next year's Black Sampler November chart. Of course, this has a deer in it. From Heartstring Samplery, His Eyes on the Sparrow. It's got like every animal under the sun. But there is a deer. Ellen Reed completed that one, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. She replaced it with a song lyric. No, she replaced it with, that wasn't the one with the song lyric. She replaced it with a quote about kindness to animals, which I of course can't remember right now because I'm the worst. There's Barbara Anna, All Creatures Great and Small, and there it is. Tiny deer in the corner. There's also, there are two deer in the Snooty Parrots sampler by Barbara Anna. Barbara Anna is a big supporter of the deer in cross stitch. Spreading Joy. Because who doesn't need a deer carrying the town on their back? Christmas Joy. Red Deer. Red Deer. I love that sampler. I think it's so cute. Deer Joy. Look at that deer. Oof, I love that. Ugh, the colors are so great. And Barbara Anna, most of you guys probably know this, but Barbara Anna charts everything in DMC, and it always looks great. Just be sure to get yourself some 3371 because you're going to need it for every single chart. That's that dark brown. You need it for everything. That you stitch that she charts. These little flying deer right there in the corner. I'm not flipping you off, I promise. Oh my gosh, so cute. Birds of a Feather. This is the Wish Upon a Star Christmas stocking, and it's hard to see because it's kind of monochromatic, but the deer is down here. Let's pull it out of the... Sometimes the sleeve's okay. On certain colors, it's really hard to leave the sleeve on. Here you can see a little better. The deer is down here on that stocking. It is hard to see. It's even hard to see on the photo, but it's cute. This Emma Congdon book, Cross Stitch for the Earth. There are 20 different designs. This is a really, really good, worthwhile buy if you are into these kinds of charts, which I think some of them are really, really cute. They're not necessarily what I would immediately choose to stitch, although I am stitching one of the charts out of this book. But I really, you know, they're growing on me. So this one is unplug and go outside, and there's a deer. I love this one. Between two pines is a doorway to a new world. With that beautiful deer right there. This one, Live Gently Upon This Earth. And it took me a minute to see it, but it's actually right there. It's a deer. That's cute. I like those trees. Be kind to all that live. And it's right there. And this is the one that I am stitching, although I have not picked this up in a while. Kaylee Cross Stitch is also stitching this, but this was a stitch along. It's called the Seasonal Earth Sal. It was started by Stitch Again Sam. And the deer is right there. Kind of hard to see, but it's right there. There it is. Next to the fox head and those antlers. It's really cool. I'm actually stitching that one. Let's see, did I bring it out? Maybe. I don't think I did. But that one is really fun to stitch. It uses a ton of different DMC colors. It's very pretty. And the last one is that I pulled out is Spring Deer. That's another Barbara Anna. The reason I've got it in this is because I have it kitted up and ready to go. So I love that one. Now, why show you all these deer? Well, a while ago, I found on eBay a really fun antique sampler, I guess. I don't know anything about the history of it. It was not very expensive. I liked it because it's goofy, because it had a holiday theme, because it's incomplete, because it looks like a kid stitched it, which of course most samplers are kid stitched, but this one really. But it has a bunch of different patterns that are holiday themed, kind of a, you know, candy cane and different holly type. The colors are really vibrant. I think it was stitched with wool. I'll show part of it to you in a moment. But the deer, there are 2 deer on the bottom of it, and they are the goofiest looking deer, and they have that kind of Lindy Stitches, Wes Anderson, funny, like, sort of, again, flat aspect, looking straight at the camera like, what? And I've been trying to decide what to do with this. I know I want to stitch it, and so I downloaded some software and have been charting it, and it's almost done. And I'm not a cross-stitch designer or a reproductionist or anything like that. I just think it's a neat, fun, goofy chart that of course won't be ready this season, but I'm considering, since I am recharting it, since I am going to stitch it, either sharing a part of it, sharing it in its entirety, and maybe doing it as some type of fundraiser, but it wouldn't be until next year. So, you know, to donate to a kids charity, or I'm going to have to think about it, but that's kind of the direction that I'm leaning with it. And so I just wanted to show it to you. When the girls were over a couple weeks ago, I showed it to them and we kind of talked about it. And I really don't know either what the age of it is, if it's, I'm thinking probably like early 1900s, maybe late 1800s, maybe. It doesn't seem like it's that old. I don't know. It could even be like from the 40s. I have no idea. It's in pretty rough shape, but I'm just going to show you the deer, because I don't want to reveal the whole thing yet, but because we're doing, you know, deer show and tell today, this is I just think they're so funny looking. And if you could see them close up, their eyes are like, they're like, what? I'm not eating the flowers. Who, me? But so you can see over here, there's a, you know, like, first of all, there's kind of this Greek key, and then there's a little bit of, it's like a garland. This part here is a, you know, it's like a, again, that candy cane swirl. So we'll kind of keep it, you know, a little bit hidden, but the back, the colors are so bright, and it's a mess. The back looks great. Looks just like mine. It's super messy. And it is in rough shape. I mean, it's seen better days, and it looks like it was, you know, probably framed in something, and there looks like there's a little adhesive around the edge. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I mean, look at this. Look how cute that is. So it doesn't have, it's got that T and J. That is not a date, and there isn't really a date anywhere on it, and the seller didn't really have any information about it. So I'll keep digging a little bit, but I just thought it would be fun to show you that because it's kind of cool. Haul. I bought one of these. This is a little clover mini iron, and they are used in applique. Kind of going back to talking about some of the, you know, pressing projects and not wanting to press your stitches out too much. this is another option. Like if it's not too hot, I have to be really careful because I think it's got different temperature settings, but just making sure that, you know, if I could get in between stitches just to sort of flatten out the fabric, that's one way. So I might try it out a little bit, but mostly this is going to be for applique. And this was on sale, so I've been looking at it for a little while. Lori, textilist, was talking, I was asking about, the conversation came up about ironing or about pressing fabrics, and she recommended not using best press but using something like a fabric relaxant, like Flatter. This is one of the, let's go this way, maybe you can read it. So this is a fabric relaxant. This is happens to be pineapple. Hi Charlie. Charlie's crying because he's tired of being in here because he's been in here forever. But Flatter is just a fabric relaxant. This smells like pineapple. I love it. So that helps to sort of, you know, you can spray it on and then just, you know, gently pull some of those. I think the biggest time that I try to get something super flat is when I first get a piece of fabric, like when it arrives and I know I want to stitch with it. It's getting it pressed nicely so that you've got something good to start with. And so using a product like this, you just have to test and make sure that it's not going to cause your stitching or the, you know, hand dyed to run. But this seems to work pretty well. So, and it's got a nice spray nozzle, so it's really, it creates a nice even mist. It doesn't just like splatter onto. So anyway, so thank you Lori for that recommendation. That was great. Speaking of fabric, it's been kind of a month for fabric. Yikes. So I mentioned earlier, this is just another button company. Some of the buttons that are, the colors are really neat this time around. It's a pinkish red with seafoam green and then some other lighter forest green, white, blue. I'm not going to pull them all out right now, but I recommend that if you are interested in their, it's a fun, it's not very expensive, it's a fun subscription to get, and it just comes once a quarter, so they're cute. This basket, by the way, Stephanie, Lindy Stitches, this has been in our decoration box for years. Pulled it down out of the attic and was, you know, pulling ornaments out and getting stuff ready to decorate. And all of a sudden I realized, like, that basket is a reindeer. I had never noticed that before. This was a gift from somebody. I think it was like a gift was given in this. Just as, you know. Anyway, it's really cute. And if you haven't watched Lindy Stitches, Stephanie has started collecting baskets shaped like animals. So they're turkeys, chickens. I haven't seen a reindeer, but this one, not only is it reindeer, it's spray painted gold and it has glitter on it. These are some of the legacy linens I was discussing in my last video. So this is Cloudburst, 37 count. This is from Hoop and Frame. This is how they package it. I won't go into it too much, but these are affordable. They provide some good structure. They are a little stiffer fabrics, and I really enjoy that. And they've got very good range of neutrals. So that one was Cloudburst. This one is Corkscrew Willow, which kind of looks like natural, if you're familiar with that, or raw linen. But just a little bit cleaner, a little bit more refined. And again, that's 37 count. I really like 37 count. That's kind of a sweet spot, because you get really good coverage with just one strand. This was last month's Be Stitch Me Fabric of the Month Club. I get 40 count, and this is called Frost. This is from, I don't remember what color this is. This is a Victoria. This is by Nikki's Creations. This is a piece of fiber on a whim in the color Moss, which looks fun. And these just came yesterday. This is a piece of, sorry for the crinkles. This is a piece of Morning Coffee by XG Design. This is a lot like Picture This Plus Ale. It's a darker but very nice neutral. I would like to start doing some a little bit smaller, so I did purchase a piece of 46 count cream, and this is just a nice Zweigert. And then I bought a piece of white opal fabric, and there is a reason for it, which I'm not going to talk about now. I don't tend to have a lot of opalescent kinds of things, but this is, I kind of want to practice doing a little bit of dyeing, and I have a project that I'm considering putting on opalescent fabric, but that remains to be something for the future, and I'm not going to commit to anything because I would like to not be a lying liar who lies again. I also got this piece of Picture This Plus. This is called Gossamer, and it's getting blown out by the camera. It's getting blown out by my lights is what it's getting blown out by. I'm going to slide back here and see if I can run over a dog. That's better. So it's a very soft green with a little bit of yellow. But I love it. It's a very fairy tale kind of color. And that works because look out guys, want to stitch this. And I've shown this before. This is lavender and lace. It's called Enchanted Alphabet. Now, it's just got a really, really cool series of letters. I like the way they're laid out. I like the way the letters are designed. And on this, there is I think that it's DMC, and the letters, they kind of, it's a gradient effect that they get through blending and through using a number of different colors for each letter. One of the things that I got for my Advent festival this time around, which I'm not showing because there are enough other people that are doing that daily, and I'm not going to show any of the colors right now because there are some people who still haven't received their boxes yet, and I don't want to spoil for anyone. And I think someone else is doing a daily open, which is totally fine, but I'll show it next month when people have gotten an opportunity to get it. But Ymir had an Advent box for the month of December, and it was a silk color every day for 31 days. I think it's 31. So, you know, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, and so because I have no chill, I opened all of them already. Because I knew I wanted to use them for this, and I wanted to start planning. And mostly just because I have no chill. But I opened them, and I put them on floss drops, and I organized them in color order, and I think I'm going to do one color per letter on that gossamer fabric. And I'm not stitching the baby. Sorry, baby. Just the letters. So it'll be compressed, but it'll have the alphabet in those beautiful Ymir almond M&Ms gorge colors that she put together this time, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun. So that'll be after the first of the year. I also have purchased Kitten Stitcher's Advent box, and I think Lisa, Kindred Stitcher, has been opening those each day on her Instagram stories. So I will leave that to her, but suffice to say that, of course, Teresa and she collaborated with a number of different designers, and they're all of those charts are just so beautiful. I can't wait until, you know, next year when people start pulling those out, and when maybe some of the designers have released them, because they are really cool. So I'll show more of those and maybe share some of those too in some of our upcoming giveaways. Teresa also just announced today that she released her book. So she has a book called Red Letter Day, and that is for sale on her website. And she has a new chart called Fanny's Flowers, and it's adorable. So I would recommend going and checking that as well. I've made a mess, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. And it's unlikely that I will make another video before the end of the year. So I think in January what I'd like to do is maybe kind of a wrap up, like a 2021 wrap up, just sort of, you know, these are some of the finishes that I made, do a brief video, and then also maybe a whip parade, because believe it or not, it's already kind of time to start thinking about doing that, just to kick off the new year. We've also got Laura's big birthday sale, so Elisabeth Isles, that is starting on the 1st of January. So some things to look forward to. So anyway, I'm going to hop off here and try and get this uploaded as quickly as possible. I'm probably not going to do a lot of annotation this time around, just because I really want to get this up and loaded. I will try and add descriptions in the box below of all of the things that I showed, but it's not going to be today. So I'm just going to say that right off the bat. And if you do have questions, I strongly encourage that you you know, put them in the comments below. I do try to follow up, especially in the first week or so after a video, to answer as many as I can. And then progressively, as you know, time sort of stretches out from when the video is released, I will check it, but not every day. I do have our giveaway that I am going to have to put in here right now, because I have to do the comment picker, and I forgot. Hold on just a moment. So this was the giveaway. It was Christmas at Hollyberry Farm by Stacy Nash, and the keyword was berry. It's a little challenging because a lot of folks said berry, which is the word I'm going to search, but some people put berries, IES, so the spelling's a little different. I have to be better about what word I choose. To put in as the giveaway. We're not going to do one this time, but I will put the winner here, and if you won, your name is right here, and it means that I have contacted you and replied to your comment. And the best way to reach me is either a direct message on Instagram or to respond. My email is also it's Trixie Tricycle at Gmail, so you can always send an email there as well if you are the contest winner. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm an hour and 45 minutes in. I think that's enough. Yikes. I'm gonna have to cut this down. Anyway, I hope that you are having a safe and as stress-free as possible holiday season. I know it's one of those times that's supposed to be, for a lot of people, it just, for whatever reason, it just is difficult. It can be a challenge. And so if you're experiencing that, be kind to yourself and just remember that the important thing is that it's supposed to be, at least for me, about spending time with people. And so the commercial piece of it and the whole expectations and all of that, just let that go. So anyway, it was good to catch up, and if I do not see you, or if I don't make another video before the end of the year, happy holidays, happy new year, and we will see you on the next video. So be safe, be nice to each other, and have a happy day.